Hi and welcome to this React.js course. My name is Marco. I will be guiding you through the essentials of this library, which can be used to create interactive user interfaces in the browser. This course is subtitled Learn React Effectively. It will get you going fast, but also with a solid understanding of the fundamental principles, while leaving details and extra features for later. In this video series, we will cover these topics. We'll start with an overview of React and a simple example which will already demonstrate three major pillars of React. Later, we will dive deeper into these. We will cover state, which allows us to create complex, interactive user interfaces. We will see JSX, which is React's JavaScript-based template language. And we'll look into components, which are custom HTML elements that allow for modularity and structure in our code. During the course, we will also learn how to use React in combination with TypeScript and get to know the essential set of development tooling. Let's dive right in. So React can be used to create interactive user interfaces in the browser. Here's a simple example of a to-do application that was created with React. As you can see, we can mark to-dos as complete or incomplete. We can add and delete to-dos. React was originally developed by Facebook, who also have a lot of interactivity on their website. Users can post, like, comment, and chat. But React has also become more popular in more traditional settings, where interactivity via state is not so important, but the structure that components bring is still a big advantage. For example, on the website of the New York Times. If you are considering alternatives to React, I could especially recommend taking a look at Vue.js for something that can be a little easier for beginners. Another alternative would be Angular. Two pillars that we will see in React, but also in other libraries like Vue or Angular, will be the state-based or declarative nature and components. State-based or declarative means that there is a data model that describes the entire application state. User interactions can cause the state to change, which will update the view that is being presented to the user. As an example, here we see what the state of a to-do application could look like on the left, and the resulting user interface is presented on the right. If we know the contents of the state in React, we will also know pretty accurately what the UI looks like. This simple to-do application has two entries in its state: an array that represents all the to-dos, and a string that represents the content of a text field. In libraries like React, components can be used to create custom HTML tags. Components can be useful to structure an application and to create reusable UI elements. They can communicate with each other via so-called props and events. Typically, we will see a unidirectional data flow where state is passed from a parent component to a child via props. Here we see how a to-do list application could be split into separate components. Three major components here would be one with a text field to add a new to-do, one to display a list of to-dos, and another one to display statistics concerning the to-dos. The list of to-dos could be further subdivided to include a separate component for each item. Pulling this all together, here's a diagram of a to-do application that shows components, state, and props. There's one top-level component called to-do app that contains the entire application. Often, the top-level component will also hold much of the state. Here, the state is shown in orange. We see that the most important part of the state, the array of to-dos, is actually included in the topmost component. Data can be passed down to child components via props. Here we see that the array of to-dos is passed down to the to-do list component to be displayed. And it is also passed down to the statistics component, which will show us how many completed or incomplete to-dos there are. The to-do list component in turn can use to-do item components to display to-dos based on their data. Furthermore, there's an add to-do component. This component has its own internal state, the content of the text field where the user can enter a title for a new to-do. The add to-do component does not receive any information from its parent. It does not have any props. But it could actually trigger an event. Events are not shown in the diagram. What we've seen so far, state, components, and props, is not only used in React, but also in libraries like Vue.js or Angular. Here's what sets React apart. React goes quite a unique way with its template language, JSX, which is based on JavaScript constructs. It also differs from other libraries in that state changes are made explicitly via calling setter functions. And it is special in that state entries are considered immutable or unchangeable and are not modified directly but are replaced by new updated entries, a concept which is common in functional programming. In this overview, we've learned about concepts like state and components. We also heard about the existence of JSX as a template language. In the next part, we'll see all of these in a practical example.